Welcome to Kidsfishing.
We decided to take a day trip to Kawau Island, and we travelled to the island with Kawau Cruises. The boat carries out what is reported to be the largest mail run by water in the Southern Hemisphere, with up to 75 different wharves being visited to deliver freight and mail to island residents. So you get to see quite a bit of the island, and also it includes a stop off at Mansion House Bay where we did a bit of fishing. The island and its waters are well known by boaties for its great fishing, and Kawau Island is one of the largest islands in the Hauraki Gulf. The island covers an area of approximately 5,000 acres and is around 8 by 5 kilometres in size, and it's named after the kawapaka, or white-throated or little shag cormorant, which breeds on the island. Access to the island is by boat, ferry or water taxi from Sandspit, which is near Warkworth and about an hour's drive from Auckland City. Now, pre-European occupation of Kawau Island was by seafaring Maori tribes, which used the island's location as a strategic position for control of the surrounding seas. The tribes were notorious for their piracy, and it was so bad that Maori tribes from the mainland combined forces and attacked the Kawau Island tribes. The successful attack resulted in a cannibal feast at Pistoki Bay on Kawau Island. Today, the permanent population of approximately 60 live on the island, with the main population based at South Cove, North Cove and Bonacord Harbour. The population swells over weekends and holiday periods, and the island remains largely in private ownership, and the majority of people are based around the water's edge with access by private jetties. The ruin that you see is the location of a historical copper mine. A manganese mine was originally established on the location in 1842, and shortly after, copper was discovered by accident. The captain of the boat actually gave some pretty good commentary, so let's hear what he has to say.
This is where they found the copper lode. They also found manganese ore here as well. And there were 4 or 5 mine shafts around this little point. They were all named, all those mine shafts were actually named, and you can see a culvert pipe sticking up out of the boulders there, just in front of the boiler house. That was the Whittaker mine. It went down 200 feet and branched out at different levels on the way down. About one of the branches went out 3/4 of a mile underneath the seabed following the copper seam. That's just over a kilometre. And then you can see it just behind the fence there, there's a cave. That was one of the mine shafts. And above the cave you can see how the clay is a greeny colour. And there's a boulder down on the foreshore. The same thing's happening to that as well. The copper is leaching out the clay.
Miners and their families came from Wales and Cornwall, and the mining settlement grew to around 300 people before problems with shipping and mine flooding closed the mine in 1855. In 1862, the island was purchased by one of New Zealand's first governors, Sir George Grey, as a private residence for £3,700. Gray's historic stately home is located in the Mansion House Bay, where he converted a former house of a copper mine manager into an imposing mansion. Gray also created a private botanical zoological park, importing many plants and animals. Among the animals that Gray introduced were possums, kangaroos, wallabies, antelopes, monkeys, zebras, gnu's, emus, peafowls and kookaburras, and the possums and wallabies still remain today. So who was George Gray? Well, Sir George Gray is believed to have been born in Lisbon, Portugal in 1812, and his father, Lieutenant Colonel George Gray, had been killed 8 days before during an attack by Duke of Wellington's army on Napoleon's forces in Spain. George Jr. himself joined the armed forces and led 2 expeditions in Western Australia in 1837 and 1839, and was promoted captain and appointed resident magistrate at King George Sound. Still in his 20s, he was offered the governorship of South Australia, and in 1845 Gray was appointed Governor of New Zealand. Gray's greatest success as a colonial governor was probably his management of Maori affairs, and in the years between 1845 and 1853, Gray enjoyed great mana among Maori and often travelled with a retinue of chiefs. Gray sold Kawau Island in 1888. Although he was re-elected to New Zealand's House of Representatives in 1893, Gray left for England in the following year and never returned. He died in England in 1898 and he was buried in St Paul's Cathedral. During our stopover at Mansion House Bay, I couldn't resist getting the fishing lines out, and we walked around one of the ends of the bay where we could fish into some deeper water.
Let's go fishing!
Here we are at Kawau Island. We're just close to Governor's Bay, and we've already caught at least one decent sized snapper, 32 centimetre snapper, and we've had the little rod in, and within about 5 seconds the fish was so big that it broke the line off. So there's clearly a lot of fish here. We're just going to throw in, as you can see, a whole or half pilchard on the basic line and see what happens. So here we go. And I'd thrown in a burley bomb to bring the fish in close. The tide was on its way out, and we probably were fishing in the second half of the outgoing tide, which is not ideal. We probably would have caught 8 to 10 snapper of varying sizes, with 4 of those fish being legal, and we ended up keeping 2. Although I didn't really have any expectations for this location, I'd have to say that it was a pretty good fishing spot. It didn't take long before the fish were really biting, and I can only imagine on an incoming tide or when the water was a bit deeper, this would be a really great spot to catch some decent sized snapper. So I would recommend, if you wanted to catch fish and go for a great trip, then go to Kawau Island. It was really good. Thanks for watching another episode of
Kids Fishing.
Please subscribe to the Kids Fishing channel for more great fishing tips and kids fishing adventures. And leave your comments below. We'd love to hear about your kids fishing adventures.